Welcome to International Student Brief. The content of the briefing includes student loans. Here's a map of the $1.2 billion discharged under SAVE by U.S. state. Massachusetts leads the nation in passing AP scores. Why some U.S. student loans are getting forgiven but not others. The little-known private school that is the best value for money. Government risks nation's reputation as study destination as visas plunge. Student loans. Here's a map of the $1.2 billion discharged under SAVE by U.S. state. Yahoo! Texas, Florida, and California had the largest number of borrowers who received an automatic student loan discharge this week. Today, the White House released data showing the number of borrowers in each state who were eligible for automatic loan relief under the Saving on a Valuable Education, or SAVE Income-Driven Repayment, IDR, plan. Massachusetts leads the nation in passing AP scores. Yahoo! Massachusetts students have the highest passing rate on advanced placement, AP, exams in the United States, according to data released by the College Board. 31.3% of Massachusetts students who took AP exams during high school scored passing grades, compared to a national average of 21.7%. Furthermore, Massachusetts saw a 10% increase in the number of Hispanic and Black students taking AP exams compared to a decade ago. AP exams require students to score a 3 out of 5 or higher to receive college credit. Why some U.S. student loans are getting forgiven but not others. Bloomberg. Millions of Americans with federal student loans have resumed making payments after a moratorium was lifted in September 2021. The resumption of payments has raised concerns about the impact on discretionary consumer spending. The issue of student loan debt is expected to be a major topic in the 2024 political campaign season, with young voters blaming Republicans and the Supreme Court for hindering debt relief efforts. President Joe Biden has used executive authority to forgive some loans, but a Supreme Court ruling has limited his ability to do so. The rising cost of education means student debt remains a persistent problem. The little-known private school that is the best value for money. Telegraph. St. Michael's School in Wales has been named the UK's best value for money independent school. The school, located near Swansea, saw 79% of its students secure top grades at A-level and GCSE, while its fees are half those of similar schools such as Westminster, Eton, and Tunbridge. The annual analysis by the Telegraph compared school fees with exam results to determine which institutions offered the best academic return for the price. Last year's winner, Withington Girls' School in Manchester, ranked second, while Manchester Grammar School was third. Government risks nation's reputation as study destination as visas plunge. The Sydney Morning Herald. Private training colleges in Australia are losing thousands of overseas students due to a federal directive that has reduced visa approvals by over 60%. The new migration strategy is putting pressure on vocational education providers, toughening the rules on who should enter the country and punishing colleges with a record of false visa claims. The chief executive of the Independent Tertiary Education Council of Australia has written to the Immigration Minister demanding a review of the new approach, claiming that decisions are being made on a basis other than the merit of individual applications. Prisons, hospitals, airports, you want to leave as swiftly as possible. The Independent. Travel journalist, Simon Calder, offers advice for making the airport experience more enjoyable. He suggests arriving at the airport either an hour before departure or early enough to enable the traveler to spend time exploring. Calder also provides recommendations for eateries in Gatwick, Luton, and Newcastle airports. He claims to be the last one on the plane to avoid spending too much time on board before leaving for his destination. Finally, Calder highlights that airports located in beautiful settings, such as Madeira, Gibraltar, and Innsbruck, can offer a pleasant experience for travelers. Groceries or Mikey, postgraduate students plea for transport discounts. The Sydney Morning Herald. Postgraduate students in Victoria, Australia are calling on the government to expand concession fares on public transport to include all university students. Currently, only undergraduates are eligible for reduced fares, while postgraduates are required to pay the full fare. Students argue that public transport costs are a significant financial burden, forcing them to choose between buying groceries or paying for transportation. Other Australian states offer concessional travel to both domestic and international postgraduate students. Universities Australia has also called for more support for students, including greater financial assistance for PhD students. British students forced to overpay on rent as landlords prioritize wealthy foreigners. Telegraph. British students are being forced to pay thousands of pounds more for university accommodation as corporate landlords rewrite contracts to appeal to wealthy foreign students. Two-thirds of purpose-built student housing is now offered on a one-year contract, forcing those who only rent during term time to pay an extra £2,000, $2,800, in some cities. The number of studios being built is also increasing dramatically. They now make up 67% of developers' pipelines, compared with 51% just a year ago. Experts say property investors have spotted an opportunity with the number of international students on the rise. Over the last decade, the number of non-EU students has grown by 6.7% compared with just 1.6% growth seen in the domestic market. International students make up 25% of total full-time students. Alistair Kemp, a director at estate agency Savills, who advises student accommodation providers, said, up until 2 years ago, the number of 18-year-olds in the UK was declining. International students have therefore been the cherry on top of the cake. They are where the supercharged growth has been happening. Hong Kong high-rise apartment prices fall as China's rich look abroad. Nikkei Asia. Property prices in Hong Kong are falling, with luxury apartments seeing price cuts. This is thought to be due to affluent individuals in mainland China redirecting their investments away from Hong Kong and towards Japan and other overseas destinations. The property market in Hong Kong has deteriorated due to rapid interest rate hikes and a worrisome economic outlook. Wealthy individuals in mainland China, who mainly purchase properties with cash, are not as affected by loan rates. As a result, capital is expected to continue flowing into Japan for the foreseeable future. Colleges blacklist students from entire countries. The Sydney Morning Herald. Australian private colleges are refusing to accept applications from students in certain countries due to concerns about visa rejections. The move comes in response to the federal government's visa crackdown, which has seen an increase in the number of student visa rejections. Education agents have described the government's change in visa assessment as extreme and causing panic among universities and other providers. Some universities and providers are now blocking applications from certain countries in an attempt to avoid visa refusals. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Hex, your resident observer from the sixth dimension. Today, I've brought you a diverse range of news stories from around the world. Let's dive in. In the United States, the White House has released data on the number of borrowers in each state who were eligible for automatic student loan relief under the Save Income-Driven Repayment Plan. Texas, Florida, and California had the highest number of borrowers receiving loan discharge. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, students have achieved the highest passing rate on advanced placement exams in the country. This is great news for the state's education system and its diverse student population. However, not all student loans are being forgiven in the U.S. Millions of Americans with federal student loans have resumed making payments, raising concerns about the impact on consumer spending. The issue of student loan debt is expected to be a major topic in the upcoming political campaign season. President Biden has used executive authority to forgive some loans, but a Supreme Court ruling has limited his ability to do so. With the rising cost of education, student debt remains a persistent problem. Turning to the United Kingdom, St. Michael's School in Wales has been named the best value for money independent school in the country. With an impressive academic record and fees half the price of other prestigious schools, St. Michael's proves that quality education doesn't have to come with a hefty price tag. However, in the realm of university accommodation, British students are being forced to overpay as landlords prioritize wealthy foreign students. This is a concerning trend that needs to be addressed to ensure fair access to affordable housing for all students. Shifting our focus to Australia, private training colleges are experiencing a significant decline in overseas students due to visa restrictions. The reduced visa approvals are putting pressure on vocational education providers and raising concerns about the country's reputation as a study destination. On a related note, postgraduate students in Victoria are calling for concession fares on public transport to be expanded to include all university students. The high cost of transportation is placing a financial burden on these students, forcing them to make difficult choices between basic necessities and travel expenses. In the realm of travel journalist Simon Calder offers advice on making the airport experience more enjoyable. From exploring the airport before departure to seeking out eateries, Calder shares his tips for a smoother journey. He also highlights airports in beautiful settings, such as Madeira and Innsbruck, that can offer a pleasant experience for travelers. So, next time you find yourself at the airport, take the time to enjoy the journey. Lastly, in Hong Kong, property prices are falling as China's wealthy individuals redirect their investments to other overseas destinations. This is due to concerns over rising interest rates and an uncertain economic outlook. Japan, in particular, is attracting significant capital from mainland China. It will be interesting to see how this trend develops in the coming months. That wraps up today's news from around the world. I hope you found these stories informative and thought-provoking. Now, it's your turn. What are your thoughts on these topics? Do you have any questions or insights to share? Let's open the floor for discussion. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.